Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And joining us this week is my wife Anna.
Hello. We didn't talk about what I was saying.
My wife, Kristen.
Hi.
And my wife, Romana.
So this week, because we've been doing a romance and rom-com themed month in February, we decided to let our wives pick films out for us to watch. And they are here to tell us why they had us watch them and talk about them. And I think we're going to go in chronological order. So I think the first film up is Anna's pick, But I'm a Cheerleader. You want to tell us a little bit about But I'm a Cheerleader?
Sure. So this was a 1999 rom-com directed by Jamie Babbitt. It had Clea Duvall and Natasha Lyonne amongst other people. And the summary is that a naive teenager was sent to rehab camp when her straight-laced parents and friends suspect her of being a lesbian. But it is a rom-com. Like, it's not... It's a rom-com. It's funny.
Yes.
Like that you had to make sure we know that.
Because you can read that description and be like, this is going to be a serious movie that's going to have, like...
Yeah.
A sad ending.
You can move a little bit closer, I think. There we go. We're married for Christ's sake. Don't worry about not getting too close to me. So when was the first time you saw this movie?
When I was in high school, I would say. I don't know. I've seen it so many times
Okay.
I don't remember.
Okay, well, I guess a better question is why this movie? Why did you have us watch this movie?
I've had us watch this movie because I've been trying to make my husband watch this movie for like 4 years now, and he never wants to. And
What
I'm
a
like,
jerk.
But I want to
What
watch
a
this
jerk.
movie. It's such a happy movie. It just makes you feel good. It has a happy ending. It's a fun movie.
Okay.
All the best cast, and yet you never want to watch it.
Yeah, I've never seen this movie before.
I think you just hate RuPaul.
Has anyone else seen this movie or heard of it?
Never even heard
No,
of it.
I've heard of it before,
Oh,
but
did
never
you?
watched it. It was on a Watch Mojo list. I
Oh.
always watch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I haven't even heard of it.
All right. So I guess let's get into our thoughts on the movie. Who wants to go first?
I'll go. I spent a while thinking. I spent a while thinking about my thoughts. So I think that if I had seen this movie when I was in high school or even around the 90s, this would have been like my movie. Like this would have been so cool to me because like movie came out in the age when like Ross on Friends was still making the "she's married to a woman" joke. And like this movie is so like progressive for its time. 2021, it's a little bit ham-fisted. Where like there is no part of this movie that isn't like, this is okay, rehabilitation camp is wrong, this is bad. And like I appreciated what it was doing. It was a fun movie, but I don't know if I'd watch it again.
It's a lot of satire, I think. And I think that if you don't know it's satire, then it might not work as well in 2021.
Right.
But as satire, I think it works great still. Ryan, what do you guys think?
Well, the whole conversion, like, camp therapy thing, when I was a born-again Christian for about 4 years. And so this came up occasionally in discussions, like this whole topic. And with my experience with people who believed in that type of stuff, like those camps, and then seeing this movie, it was one of those things where, to me, like, the topic is such a serious tone that some of the humor didn't... For the topic, I kind of wish the movie was a tad more serious. But then again, like, the fact that it was 1999, ahead of its time, and it kind of goes to what, like, Devin was saying. Like, it was really forcing the stuff in your face for, like, nowadays. But with the way that I see this like topic and how dead set I am against it, it was one of those things where like I get what they were doing with the humor. It just, a lot of the humor was lost on me because of like me just like going in the back of my head going, I hate this lady running the camp. I can't believe that they're trying to like turn this into a lighthearted thing when this is a very, very, very serious issue. So there's a lot of baggage that I have in the background for this. And Kristen kind of comes from the same background that I do, and she kind of had the same experience. Well, she had kind of the same reaction I did to it.
Okay.
So, like, I totally get what they were doing. I'm completely behind it. It's just the humor, and I kind of felt like this movie was one part the guy that made Cryberry. The movie was like one part Crybaby, one part Tim Burton's Edward Scissorhands, and they threw them together. And that's what like the style was for this. And then you got the topic and everything else I just said. So it was one of those things like, I get it. I appreciate it. It's just, I have a lot of baggage back there as to like how I took this movie.
So for some background on the movie, Jamie Babbitt wanted to make The Gay Clueless was part of it. Her mother ran kind of a halfway house for alcoholics. And a lot of the things that she grew up seeing, she was kind of like, I don't necessarily know if all of this... Like, there were things like different songs that she would hear, like, later in life where she's like, oh, like, we totally changed all the lyrics in those songs to make them, like, anti-drugs and anti-drinking songs when they're really not. And there's a cut scene from the movie where they do that with making songs and changing them to be, like, not gay and, like, straight is better. So, like, she was trying to do stuff with that, but she was also trying to make a happy LGBT movie because up till this point, generally speaking, somebody dies at the end. And if they took this topic and went like the straight-laced route and were like, this is a serious movie, you would have ended up having the what's that Robin Williams movie?
Patch Adams?
No, not Patch Adams, going back early 90s.
Popeye.
No, where they all stand on the desks.
Dead Poet Society.
Dead Poet Society ending. Like, realistically, if they went the straightforward route of this, you'd have had and then somebody dies again. Because so she was trying to do something more revolutionary and just having like, we're going the John Waters route. Like, that was intentional. That's why Mink Stoll is the mom. She was used in like all of his movies. So to pick up on the like, this is like Crybaby, of course it is, because they were trying to do kind of an homage to that director. But yeah, like, I definitely understand where and it got criticized much later for not being more serious as a look of it, whereas when it came out, it wasn't at all, because nobody was even talking about this topic. She was just trying to be like, let's talk about this topic, and let's turn it around and give us a happy, fun movie, and not a movie for the straight people to just learn a lesson. Like, let's make a movie for the gay people to have fun, was literally what she was going for. So there's a lot going on with it, but I just really enjoy it.
It felt a little
high school, so
right. Well, that's a good, and it felt a little Mel Brooks to me, where like Mel Brooks will like portray the Nazis as these like very silly people to deflate who they are and take the wind out of their sails. And I feel like that's what they were doing with the conversion camp, where they're like, okay, let's deflate this whole thing.
Especially when you have RuPaul in there as one of the counselors.
I didn't even realize that was RuPaul and until the movie was over, and I was looking stuff up, and I'm like, who was RuPaul in this? I didn't see RuPaul in this. And then I was like, RuPaul's playing Mike? I was like, I think that's the first time I ever saw RuPaul not being what I depict RuPaul always looks like. I mean,
it's the first time I've seen him with facial hair.
Yes.
Other than that, I didn't recognize him at first, but I was like, oh, okay. It took me a second, but I figured it out.
I should have buy those legs though.
Okay.
I'm just saying. RuPaul is always wearing a dress, always showing leg. Okay, he was always wearing shorts in the movie, so. Okay, I'm the only one. Okay, that's fine.
No.
I'm on with you, but I've seen so much Drag Race where I'm like, of course you should have recognized him.
Have you guys watched any RuPaul's Drag Race at all?
I did, yes. Yeah.
How is he in that compared to this?
Oh my god, it's so different. It's
not the same.
It was just weird, honestly. It was like, it's not the RuPaul I'm used to.
Did we ever watch any of that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because we watched like the movie Magic one, right? Okay.
Well, this is why I like watching movies with Romana, because we were about 10 minutes into the movie, 20, and I go, the main character, the lady from Orange is the New Black?
Natasha Lyonne, yeah.
Yeah, Natasha, yeah. It took me that long, and then she had to point out that it was RuPaul for me.
Ryan, what do you know?
Williams, also young.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, did you recognize Natasha Lyonne from anything?
Before we even started it, I asked Kristen. I was like, "Is she the one from Orange Is the New Black?"
Okay.
Because from the seasons you've had me watch, like I really like her character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
She's also in American Pie. She's like one
The Russian doll.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
and she's on.
That's
She
right.
has a Netflix show called Russian Doll, which I highly recommend
Yeah.
if you haven't seen it. The second season should be coming out soon. I think they filmed it, so
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, how was this then? And Anna, you talked about this a little bit. How was this movie received when it came out? Because like my thing is, I bet it's super like impressive.
It was panned by the critics. They
What?
absolutely hated it. They were like, this is preachy, like this is trying to mainstream homosexuality. There was some of that. There was, yeah, it was not, it didn't go over well amongst the critics, but amongst younger people, and especially amongst the community that it was aimed at, it was huge. Like, it's very beloved amongst the LGBT community, mainly because it's like, for a long time it was the only one with a happy ending. Like,
Right.
it really is, and it is the rom-com ending where like she comes out and does her cheer. Spoiler alert. So it has that. But yeah, this was when it came out. The critics hated it and gave it horrible reviews, but it came out like it did well later. The biggest thing when it came out was it was being boycotted a lot. Like there were all sorts of different religious groups that were like, "No, we're not doing this. Like you can't make this movie." And then also the MPAA tried to give it an NC-17 rating.
What?
Yeah. That's the rating on this is something I want to talk about because I cannot believe this is rated R. Like what in the world makes this rated R except for the fact that it was graded in 1999?
I mean, is that it?
There are F-bombs in it. Like, Jamie Babbitt says
Well,
if it
that
came
is
out
true.
now, she thinks it would be rated G. And I'm like, well, girl, like, you dropped the F-bomb, like, 6 times at least in this. So it's not going to be rated G. But, yeah, it was... She had to cut 2 scenes. So she had to cut the scene of Natasha Lyonne after she has her dream about Graham. Like, they kind of cropped it because it was a full shot, and then they had to do the half-waist and make it shorter. And then the sex scene was... She didn't actually ask the actresses if they were okay with doing nude scenes until it got closer to the time, because this was her first feature. Like, she'd only done short films, and neither one of them was okay with it. So she's like, okay, we have to shoot around them wearing, like, old lady pinafores. How are we going to make this cute? And so she's like, we'll use shadows and have it be dark. And so the MPAA were like, we don't know what's going on, but we know there's a lot of, like, bad, dark stuff, because it's all shot in darkness. And she's like, it's shot in darkness to hide their old lady nightgowns. And so she had to, like, lighten it up and cut a lot of that. And she had to cut a line about, like, one of the girls asks Natasha, like, did she go down on you? And they had to cut that out. But they didn't have to cut out the line where RuPaul's like, do you guys want to go down with me? And they're all like, yes. Like, they didn't have to cut that. So it's... You learn a lot if you actually watch that documentary that came out a few years ago
about censorship.
About censorship, where they like had Kevin Smith and they had a bunch of people, where you find out like the things that they cut, and like they went into like the MPAA board, and it was supposed to be run by parents, but like some of the parents that voted for that to be NC-17, like their kids were like 26.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, what is that going to do to your kids?
That's one of the biggest problems with the MPAA is that people who are on it shouldn't be anymore, because it's a council of parents, but when their kids age out, they should not be responsible for deciding what everything's rated. And Kevin Smith has had many run-ins with them, because also in '99 he had Dogma come out, and the same religious groups probably protested that, along with Kevin Smith, who got dragged into a protest for Dogma. So.
Yeah, because one thing I noticed, because I wanted to, this movie interested me enough to go in and look at this is like going into Facebook comments, but I went into the reviews on IMDb, and I just went in just to read them, and I found reviews from like 2003, 2002 on there, and those were they were bad, like just. The amount of toxicity coming out of those reviews was horrible. Like this one person went on I think it was almost like a 15-paragraph rant about how she believes that people under the age of 17 shouldn't see the movie.
All right.
Even though you had American Pie come out that same year, and you had Cruel Intentions come out that same year, neither of which in danger of getting NC-17, and they both had way more explicit stuff going on, so the MPAA tried to say it wasn't because of the homosexuality, but it's kind of like, well, then what was it?
Right.
Yeah.
That's gross. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Do we have a different system over here for movie grading? It's not the MPAA, right? Like,
I actually have no idea.
I think you do. I don't know what the council is, but I know you have different ratings over there.
It's just the queen and how offended she gets when she watches something.
Yeah. Yep.
If she goes, oh, it's an R.
Like,
I guess.
she was totally against Jason Biggs having fun with a pie, but when it comes to But I'm a Cheerleader, she's like, no.
No, not
Off
that.
with its head!
Every time a corgi runs out of the room, it adds another notch onto the movie.
Sounds about right.
All right, any other final thoughts on But I'm a Cheerleader?
I really love the color scheme in that movie, right away. It's so colorful.
I did too.
I kind of liked it.
What I noticed was the colors in the text at the beginning reminded me a lot of Austin Powers, which I don't know if that's just like a late 90s sexual themed movie thing, but
I wish I could. Oh my god, I cannot unsee it now.
yeah. Like, you put Soul Bossa Nova over those credits, it works just the same.
It was that colorization is what I got the whole Crybaby and the Edwards, the Tim Burton like feel to it. Like that's where I got that from. It only irritated me with the blue color. For some reason I did not like that shade of blue, and it was irritating. I know that's really weird and really specific, but I don't like that shade of blue.
I mean, that's part of why the critics hated it. Not even lying. They were like, we hate these colors. Why is it so colorful? Like, this is just a knockoff of John Waters, and we hate him too. Like, it's rough.
Something I didn't bring up is I just really love the idea of just like a house full of semi-militant homosexual people in a town. Like, I think that's so funny.
Oh, we need more of that.
Right. Like, they're all walking around, like the two lead like people there, they're just walking around in like military fatigues all day. Why?
What's weird is the short guy, I recognize him from other stuff. He's the guy in Back to the Future 2 who says, I think he stole his wallet after Marty knocks out Biff. And he was also on Even Stevens on Disney Channel back in the early 2000s.
And
who
the
is
other
he?
one's
I don't know
from
what
Night
it
Court.
I think he was a teacher.
The other one's Bull from Night Court. For anybody
Okay.
that like watched Night Court, it might be
Night
the
Court.
But he was Bull.
It's a good pull.
Seasons of it.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing about the camo thing is like it's the late 90s. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I own several pair of camo looking clothing for style purposes. So I mean, it wouldn't have, the whole camo thing was cool. It didn't put any, flags up for me. It was like, oh, it's 1999. They're in camo. Stylish. Like
I've never owned camo ever. I've owned a dress. I've never owned camo.
Well, you can't beat me there because I have a Princess Leia costume in the closet.
Hold on. You owned a dress?
Look, I have this rule, all right, where if somebody buys me a gift, I have to use it. Because somebody thought enough about me to spend money on me to get me a thing. I want to show appreciation for that. There are some people who would take advantage of that. One of those people bought me a dress. Had to use it.
What did you use it for?
Hold on, someone in chat just said we're the perfect evolution of beards. Yeah?
Yeah, I think we are.
I'm here for it. What did I use the dress for?
Yeah.
I wore it once, and they took pictures because they thought it was hilarious, and then I took it off and never wore it again.
Okay. I mean,
yeah, I didn't like go out on the town in a dress or anything like that. Like, I'm not that brave.
Devin, you've been on the show a year and a half now. I've known you for almost 20 years. This is the first I'm hearing of this rule that you have. And all
I've had it forever.
And all I will say is noted.
No. Dang it.
So let's talk about the evolution of beards. Which phase is Ryan's the starter one?
Ryan's starter.
Am I middle phase?
I think you're like the
because I just
you're like the Charmeleon.
Your girlfriend are understanding. I take one of my girlfriend's shirt and suddenly we have to talk.
Well, we just learned from a movie that like gender roles are not everything.
Yeah.
Right. Oh. Yeah, I think I'm like the Charizard of beards. That's how I want to think of me.
I'm the Charmeleon? Is he
You're Charmeleon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the middle one. And Ryan's the Charmander.
All right.
You put my fire out, I die. The problem is you're not getting my fire out.
Okay, moving on to Romana's pick for us to watch, which was Bridget Jones's Diary. Romana, go ahead and take it away.
Well, my pick was Bridget Jones Diary. Was released in 2001, directed by Sharon McGuire. Stars Renee Zellweger, Hugh Grant, and Colin Firth. It's about a girl that lives in London, like we are, and looks for love and has like a weight issue, I guess, that she wants to how do you say that?
She wants to improve herself.
And like with the drinking and the smoking and like search for love. That's basically all I have for you.
Okay.
I just love this movie. I don't know. I don't remember when I watched it because it's been watching on repeats. And I kind of had the same as Anna. I like was bugging to Devin, like, watch this movie. And like, it's weird because I always watched it with his sisters and then we drink on it and they make a drinking game out of it. So yeah, I don't know. It's a fun, like, feel good movie, I guess.
What is the Bridget Jones's Diary drinking game? Because now I need to know the rules.
Yeah. Is it every time she drinks, drink?
Yeah, that is one.
Okay.
One.
Every time when she has a cigarette in her hand, I believe.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
When she's narrating, so that's mostly all of the movie. So.
How are you still alive?
Right?
Especially when there were two sequels.
Yes. Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah.
So I think I
don't know how I was alive.
I think I have seen parts of this movie like on TBS, but I don't count that for anything because it's TBS. But it was a long time ago. But I think I remember most of this movie from just the commercials. Like the whole bit with her answering the phone, sex goddess Bridget Jones, how may I help you? It's like, oh, hi, Mom. Like, I remember that from the commercials because they would play that bit all the time. Ryan, how about you?
I love that one.
Yeah, this is actually a movie that Kristen showed me when we were dating. And I mean, it's fun. We like it. Personally, I like the second one more.
Oh, wow.
So Devin, like, please run with that because
I will.
You'll enjoy it, believe me. But I mean, it's fun. I like the character. I like the guys. It's a fun movie.
Devin, what did you think?
Yes, so I ended up liking this a lot more than I thought I would. There were a couple parts that I was like, ooh, like a little bit weird about, and I can talk a little bit about those. But overall, I thought her narration was fun, and sometimes narration like turns me off in a movie. But I thought this was a really good example of it. And I don't know, I was interested enough in like the characters' backgrounds, like the whole like Colin Firth, Hugh Grant, like who did what to who. Like I thought that was cool enough. And I know that chat said the only reason they watched this movie was Hugh Grant. After watching this movie, Colin Firth can get it. Holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That end scene where she's like, good guys don't kiss like that. And he said, I forget the line, but I was like,
Oh, it wasn't that for me. Like I'm like indifferent on Colin Firth for most things, but when he comes back, he's like, okay, outside, and just like beats the shit out of Hugh Grant. And I was like, good for you, Colin Firth. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I love Colin Firth, so I think I really liked him in this movie. I think a little bit more than Hugh Grant. I'm sorry.
Both have had very different careers since this movie. Like Hugh Grant's now like the gangster in all the Guy Ritchie movies, and Colin Firth is still making rom-coms.
That's true though.
No, he was in Kingsman.
Oh, he was in Kingsman.
Yeah, Kingsman. I always forget about that one.
Yeah.
We still need to watch the second one.
I know Elton John's in it.
Yeah.
So wait, Anna, have you seen? I don't think I heard from you, Anna. Have you seen this one?
I saw it like when it first came out, and I didn't like it. I liked it better this time, but it's still not one I'd watch again. And I think it's just because like I've read so many romance novels, and it gets old. Like I need to lose weight, and I'm obsessed with my weight and trying to improve. Like so that kind of, and then like her sleeping with the wrong guy. I'm like, I've definitely seen this before. Like this was funnier than I think a lot of other ones, but I think I was just so like when I first saw it, I was like, I'm tired of these tropes. And so it was like that kind of rage of like, I'm sick of these tropes. Whereas this time I'm like, oh, this isn't as bad, but like I definitely know why I hated it when it first came out.
Well, you brought up a good point that I genuinely didn't like about the movie is that she kept telling you her weight and was so obsessed with it that when they had that time skip and she was like, I'm 140 pounds, I was like, she gained weight. And like, I don't like that I thought that, and that made me feel gross.
Yeah, that probably doesn't age well at all. I know they skipped that in number 3. Like they don't address that anymore at all, like the weight thing. So I think it just didn't age well.
Because famously, she packed on weight for this role. For the
first, I didn't know that.
For the first two, then the third one she didn't. And outside of Bridget Jones, Renee Zellweger is like real thin. Especially in,
really thin.
Especially in Judy, where she plays Judy Garland and won the Oscar.
Oh wow!
So yeah, that was in that like. I think it was just more of. I think for the third one, it was like a health thing. She didn't want to have to pack on all that weight again. So, but looking at this one, it's like she doesn't seem that big in this.
No.
Yeah, she seems.
No, not really.
Yeah. When you have somebody on their own, like it doesn't really stand out. But then when you have them paired with like somebody else the whole time, it'll really stand out. And the example I have is like with I Love Lucy, her counterpart, like the actress who was supposed to be the older neighbor, they were close to the same age, and the older neighbor wasn't that, she wasn't really that heavy. But or am I thinking about Christmas Story? I'm thinking about Christmas Story, not Christmas Story, White Christmas. I'm sorry, my brain is jumbled. Anyway,
it's all right.
White Christmas.
We went on such a journey there from I Love Lucy.
Sorry.
I was with you the whole way too.
Having kind of technical difficulties over here at the same time, so I'm trying to do that.
All right.
But anyway, on A White Christmas, you had the one actress who was the dancer who was super thin, and so it made her counterpart look heavier, but she wasn't heavier. The reason why she looked heavier was because she was standing next to somebody who was dealing with weight issues. And so I feel like it's one of those things with this. Like Bridget Jones's character didn't really look that big because it was just her. There wasn't anybody they were really bouncing her off of to really tell.
Hey, thanks for the follow there, Polar Knights.
Oh, thanks. That's awesome. I'm happy to hear you're back too.
Yes.
So Kristen, I had a question about like you showing Ryan this for the first time. I'm not entirely sure she can hear us. But Ryan, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
What was that date night like where she was like, I'm going to introduce you to Bridget Jones? Like, was it because she loved the movie, or was it just like, we need something to watch, this is on?
I got voice. I got sound.
You got sound again?
Oh, cool. Okay.
Excellent.
So,
the question.
Yeah, so Kristen, when you made Ryan watch this movie first, was it because you were like, I love this movie, we need to watch it? Was it like, it's on TBS and Renee Zellweger? Or were you like, this movie defines me. We can't start a relationship until you see this?
We watched it. Did we watch it on DVD? I think
we
my mom had the DVD, and we watched it just like as a regular movie night.
Yeah.
It was probably while we were still dating.
It was.
Before we moved down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was a big fan of Colin Firth, especially being an English major, and he was in the TV adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. He was Mr. Darcy.
Of course he was.
Darcy, so there's that connection. I kind of love him.
Why do I get the feeling that that's the next thing on Devin's watch list is Pride and Prejudice with...
Oh, yeah.
It's good. It's
good.
Yeah.
One thing I have to say, too, is back when we were first started dating, you got to understand, like, I was your typical, like, it was 2007, right? We started dating. Mm-hmm. So I was 23, I think, at that point. And so I was single, and all of my movies were like 300, Constantine, Gladiator, Matrix, like all these, like...
Give me all the Zack Snyder.
So, because of that, like, I'd be showing Kristen, like, Gladiator and 300 and Constantine and, like, The Matrix.
Fifth Element.
Fifth Element and stuff like that. So, like, I feel like she was trying to balance all of the testosterone away from the TV.
Yep. That's accurate.
Like, I got to stop this now.
Yeah,
so
basically.
This brings up a good question I wanted to ask everyone. What was your guys' first movie dates?
Oh.
For us, it was our very first date. We went out to dinner, and then the local theater in State College was playing the Oscar-nominated live-action shorts, so we got tickets to that. So that was our first date. So
okay, we went to go see the Simpsons movie.
Was that our first date?
That was our first date. We went to go see the Simpsons movie, our very first date, and that had to have been probably that was the best experience because neither one of because like, okay, so Ralph is it Ralphie that goes da 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 da. That
Ralph Wiggum's,
yeah, that, like, I was nervous. I'm sure she was nervous, and then that happened, and we both just started laughing hysterically. and so the Simpsons, he was our icebreaker, I think.
Yeah.
Ralph Wiggum.
Yeah. So Ralph was our icebreaker because that really loosened our
awkwardness.
Yeah.
Our relationship was built on The Simpsons.
Yeah, it was built on The Simpsons. Yeah.
Rock solid foundation.
Devin, how about you guys?
Yeah, that's
I honestly don't. Well, we never really had like a first date, like just of the long distance.
Yeah, we had like a weird start to our relationship where like we like met and then like talked online for a while, and then I got nervous and stopped talking because I'm nervous. And then a year later picked it back up and then just spent like 2 weeks together?
Yeah, like after 6 months back talking, I went to the States. And I don't know if we went to a movie theater.
I know we went to a movie theater.
I know the first time you came to me, we watched Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, we did.
Probably that's the first.
Because
there was nothing else that was like playing, and I remember that he was like for the first time to a like Dutch theater with like Dutch subtitles and everything. So I think that was.
That was it. Yeah,
that was the first one.
Okay.
I love it. Yeah. I love that. That's my first one.
Yeah, Fast and the Furious from all the movies.
Side note: I love the movie going on in chat right now. Polar Knights recommended a sci-fi movie where the hobbits travel in the Stargate looking for the One Ring to unite the planet of Hogwarts against the evil Jedi on the Battlestar. Yeah, that's the movie I want to watch.
Live long and may the Force be with you.
That one hurt.
Always.
Really. I want that. I want what they're doing.
I want that movie. I want that movie.
I want it.
So I had a question like that for you guys, like for everyone, because I want everyone's answer here. Did you guys at any point have a diary/journal, and did it get you in trouble? And I'll start. Yes and yes. I had a journal for all of my little teenage feelings. And then one of my parents found the journal and went, "Too many teenage feelings." And then we had to have serious talks about that.
I did
Never
not.
had one.
No?
Sorry.
Yeah, I never had a journal. I think I tried, but I was just too lazy to follow through with it. How about you?
I did, and it never got me in trouble because I wrote in code.
Oh.
Me and my friends invented a secret code when we were in 4th grade, and I continued that code, and so reading my journal now, like, I hate myself, because I'm like, why did I do this? What were the secrets that I had? Like, my secrets were literally, and then I went to the fun shop, and we bought, like, a figurine for my mother. Like it wasn't anything bad. It was like, and then on AOL Instant Messenger, I figured out a way that I can make myself look like I'm not online so that people don't bother me while still being online before they had the private feature. Like, that's all it is, where I'm like, why did I need to code this? Like, it's more suspicious that it's in code than if I just was writing this stupid, like, nothing secret.
I feel like if your parents found that, they would have you committed.
Possibly. I mean, my AOL Instant Messenger was more what got me in trouble. Leaving that open and then my dad reading it and thinking I was being assaulted on a regular basis.
Oh, no!
Because we had a lot of really gross inside jokes, which I'm not going to mention here, but there were a lot of them where I look back and I'm like, yeah, that was dark. And then my dad would read it and be like, is this really happening? Like, do we need to do these? And I'm like, no, Dad. Like, why are you so lame? It's clearly a joke.
Why are you so lame, Dad?
Yeah.
The
Why are
early
you so lame?
2000s. Get with it. Oh, I love that.
Ryan, how about you?
I'm dyslexic. I didn't keep a journal.
And if you did, it would be in code.
It would be in it would be in natural code. It would be in natural. Yeah, no. I mean, I seriously did try at one point, and I think I got like a sentence in and figured out that the only words I could properly spell were like and the and the and them, and then I was done. I was like, but there's no way I'm doing this. And so then I did try, and my parents actually bought me a voice recorder, like the doctors would have. So like I would like hit record and record for the day, and I did that for about 3 days. And I was like, oh, I wonder what these sound like. And as a 15-year-old, I heard what I sounded like, and I threw the cassette away.
And 20 years later, you have a podcast.
And 20 years later, I have a podcast. Yeah,
I love how I love how your go-to is like doctors have, not like Kevin McAllister has in Home Alone 2. Yes.
Oh, my first thought was like a Star Trek captain. I was like, please tell me you were like, it is Stardate, like, and went off because that would be amazing. Stardate supplemental, like.
Well, that would be really funny.
Okay, so coming from my experience, all you guys know, like, I have a lot of medical issues.
Yeah.
So, like, my experience with like voice recorders would be like my specialist that I always saw down in Philly. During our appointments, like as we talked, he would stop, turn on his little tiny little like mic thing and make notes. And then like he would literally say period. He would like say a sentence, period, space, next sentence, and then say it. And then period, space, next, thing. And then he would just go from there. And so that's why like I even told my parents, I was like, is there a way that we can get myself a voice recorder like Dr. Canning has so I can do like a journal? And they were like, yeah, sure. And so I got the tiny little like the real tiny little cassette tapes, like the real tiny ones, because it was literally a brick like recorder. And yeah, and now when I'm at work, I listen to our podcast to make sure that everything sounds okay, like the same day. So I mean, I went from throwing the actual cassette away to purposely listening to us ramble on for an hour.
I love that journey for you, Ryan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Kristen, how about you? Did you keep a diary?
I didn't. I think I was a very boring child and young adult. So I never really had much to write about. I remember as a kid going to one of the Scholastic book fairs and getting like a little diary with a lock on it, and it had kittens on it. And I remember writing in it, but I'm pretty sure it was just like MASH games and like doodles and things like that. I never actually wrote my day-to-day thoughts.
It's
Okay.
like pictures of Colin Firth on each page.
Yes, and when we were dating, like I was in your room, and I thought I found something that might have been her journal, and it was a box that had like just stuff like taped on it, like we would all have just stuff that we were interested in taped on it. I'm like, ooh, I wonder what's in here. This is like 2 years after we started dating, so this isn't like me snooping like 6 months in.
Yeah.
So like I found the box. I'm like, what's in here? And it was just stuff that we would all probably keep, like letters and stuff like that, and pictures of your friends.
Were you? Chat needs to know. Were you specifically looking for a journal? Were you like, what secrets can I find? Or was it just like, oh, a box?
It crossed my mind.
I'm glad we could be honest about it.
It crossed my mind. And the one thing too, I actually got a little excited because like one of my favorite bands is Incubus. And she had the lead singer of Incubus from the album after the one with Stellar on it. I forget the name of the albums, but the album that they had after the one with the single Stellar, it was a picture of him taped on it, and I was like, oh, cool. I didn't know that she liked Incubus. You just thought she was cute.
Yeah, I don't even know who it was. I probably pulled it out of a magazine.
And I was like, oh, I gotta grow my hair out. Okay, I gotta grow my hair.
So do we have anything else on Bridget Jones's Diary?
I have one thing,
okay.
And this line bugged me all day. So Bridget Jones's mom is getting back together with his dad. She goes, will you take me back? And he says something like, no. And then he goes, I'm just joking, you daft cow.
What? Why are you pointing at me?
Well, is that?
You're the one that like said, oh, like, it's like, I think he calls her a cow here. And
he does!
Be so mean about that.
It's like, it's rude.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He said it was rude. And then, of course, it's like the scene happens, and I'm like, what? They're just like playfully talking. They're a couple. Like,
Don't call me a cow.
I won't. I won't.
Here's my headcanon for that scene. He has built up years of resentment against her, and only like happened then that it like built up, and he's like, I'm gonna get my one shot in right now, and it's gonna be the word daft next to the word cow, and she's gonna be fine with it. And then that's why he chose those words at that point.
And then I just assumed it was a British thing.
That's what I thought too.
She also left him.
What?
She also left him, so it's like a slit. Like,
but it's so rude. Like if you ever called me a daft cow, I'd be so upset.
Then you kind of deserve it if you leave for another guy. No.
Fair. You know what? Fair.
If you left her for Colin Firth, then you'd be a daft cow.
If I left you, and you'd be allowed to call me that.
Yeah, I feel like that is a British thing. Like I've heard that in other things too.
It must be less offensive here. Yeah. Also, this movie reminded me that I can't use the word pants for my pants because pants here are underwear.
Oh.
I'm wearing trousers. Forgot that was the real rule. Thank you for letting me catch that before I made that mistake in a job interview.
The life lessons that you learned from Bridget Jones's Diary.
Exactly.
All right. I think we're good to move on to our final film for the night. Kristen's pick, which was The Switch with Jason Bateman and Jennifer Aniston.
Yes. Okay, hold on. I'm pulling up IMDb here.
It's all right.
So, The Switch came out in 2010. The major actors, Jason Bateman, Jennifer Aniston, Patrick Wilson, and Jeff Goldblum. Who else is in it? Oh, Julia Lewis. Yeah. Sorry, I can't talk.
That's okay.
I don't remember the first time I saw this movie. It had to have been once we moved down here.
Yeah, it was.
So it had to have been. I can't imagine it was on TV. So we must have seen it on a streaming service. But it's just a movie about a girl and a guy. She wants to be an independent woman and raise a child on her own. So she gets a sperm donor. And it turns out 7 years later, she realizes that the actual sperm donor is her best friend who switched his ingredient with the actual donor's ingredient.
Good.
Which resulted in a very neurotic and adorable 7-year-old.
Mm-hmm. That's the kind of kid I'd want.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So we had seen this film before. I don't think we saw it on the streaming service. I feel like we rented it from the library for some reason. Support your local libraries. But we had seen this, and about the only thing we could remember from this was Jeff Goldblum.
I figured. I really did figure that was, yeah.
Because he has like the weirdest part in this movie, and we'll get into details later, but I enjoyed this more the second time around because it's just a lot of fun. It's a little creepy in parts, but it's mostly fun. Like Jason Bateman and the kid are fun to watch. But yeah, Devin, had you seen this at all?
I hadn't. This is my first time seeing it, and okay, so you guys know me, right? I am Mr. Cynic, and like Chat is actually saying that Jennifer Aniston feels like she's stuck in like the same part all the time. And like, I kind of get that, where I feel like Jennifer Aniston is typecast in the same way Jason Bateman's typecast. So without watching this movie, I knew what this movie was in my own mind. I was wrong. The movie was a lot of fun. I liked it a lot. And I didn't realize I needed Jason Bateman and Jeff Goldblum as an on-screen duo. I needed that. That was good for the soul. Yeah.
Yeah. That was my first reaction because she saw it first, and then you were trying to get me to watch it. And the only thing that I knew Jason Bateman from by that point was the movie with Will Smith, the whole superhero thing.
Hancock.
Oh man.
So like that was the only thing that I really knew him from. So I'm like, the guy that was that was Will Smith's lawyer, him, like he's in a movie like this. And then and then that was before I was a fan of like Friends, really. So like the whole thing with like Jennifer Aniston really wasn't an appeal for me when it came to like something like this. It was like, okay, Jeff Goldblum's in it, but he's not the main character. So it took her a while to get me to actually see this, but then when I did, and I was kind of like, and then it got to the bathroom scene, and I was like, oh, I love this movie. I was like, oh, I love it.
First of all, how do you not remember Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park? Like, why is it not the first one that pops up, but Hancock? I didn't even know he was in there.
No, not Jeff Goldblum.
No.
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman.
Yeah. He's talking about Jason Bateman.
Is he in Hancock?
He is. Yeah, he's Will Smith's lawyer. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
Devin,
thought it was just Will Smith.
Devin, what is your go-to Jason Bateman?
Oh, my Jason Bateman is Arrested Development Jason Bateman every time.
Same here.
That's my favorite Bateman.
I liked him in Horrible Bosses.
I didn't see that one.
This is the first of 4 movies that he did with Jennifer Aniston, including the Horrible Bosses movies.
She's in those too?
Yeah. She's one of the horrible bosses.
I did not know that.
She like sexually harasses Charlie Day for 2 movies. It's weird.
Is it weird that of the 3 main actors, that's the one that I want to see in that situation though? I just want him to be like Charlie Day boys, like while Jennifer Aniston's hitting on him. I think that's fun.
Yeah. No, I mean it's Jason Bateman, Charlie Day, and Jason Sudeikis. Is he the other one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have notes for this one.
I mean, that's like
of all of them, this is the one you have notes for.
Well, this is the first one I watched, so I had good intentions of taking notes for everything, and then yesterday happened, and I was like, you know what? Not taking notes.
We're just doing this live.
Yeah, we're doing it live. So this is Jeff Goldblum. I think the reason Jeff Goldblum stood out to me from watching this before is this is him at his Jeff Goldblumiest. Because I'm 99% sure they did not give him a script for this. They just gave him like, okay, this is what has to happen in this scene. Go do your things. Like, yes. Diane Sawyer. So yeah, like it's just every moment he's in this movie, it just like steals the scene. And I would love to see him go against like Jason Bateman's straight man more. Like
Absolutely.
I don't need a switch too, but I want to see those two work together more.
Well, Anna, you're a big Jeff Goldblum fan. Where does this rank on like Jeff Goldblum roles for you?
I don't think it ranks high on Jeff Goldblum roles for me, but I tried watching, like, we watched this together, and then I went, some time had passed, because I don't have a concept of time, but some time had passed. I don't know how long. I went to visit my best friend in DC, and we were trying to watch a movie, like, on Netflix or something, and I was like, oh, let's watch The Switch. Like, The Switch is good. Let's watch The Switch. And so she's like, cool. So we put it on, and she went to get some wine, so she didn't see the opening credits roll. And so we got, like, 10 minutes into the movie, and then Jeff Goldblum shows up in the movie, and she's like, really? And clicked it off, and we ended up watching Crimson Peak instead. Because she knew the reason why I wanted to watch the movie, and at the time, like, she was keeping, like, a list of the men that I found attractive, and she was like, no, bad Anna, we're gonna watch Crimson Peak instead. And I was like, okay, I really wanted to watch this. And then we were both like, why did we watch this?
At the time, she was keeping a list. She still has that list.
Yeah, she's still maintaining I
have a copy of it somewhere.
But, yeah, so I didn't get to see it that time, and then when I tried to watch it with him the other day, I kind of fell asleep. And then I woke up to more Jeff Goldblum. Like, I was only awake for Jeff Goldblum scenes in this movie. So it ranks somewhere. But I don't know. Like,
yeah.
The Lost... Like, he did The Fly. You got The Lost World. You've got Transylvania 6500. Like, there's movies of his that are above this, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
In terms of Jeff Goldblum, like, it's definitely a movie he did.
Okay, getting away from Jeff Goldblum.
Can we please?
I'm sorry I brought it up.
He's also not the main character in this, so I'm not surprised.
And I like Jason Bateman sometimes.
Yeah.
Only sometimes.
So I had a question based off this movie. So the kid in this has a collection of picture frames with like the stock pictures. What's the strangest thing you guys collect? Like from the outside is a weird thing to collect. Because for me, we talked about this before the show, it's my collection of retail VHS DVD pins from like Walmart and Kmart in the late 90s, early 2000s that I have on display back behind here, featuring Independence Day with stars Jeff Goldblum, but never mind that.
Chad collects 8-tracks. That's cool.
Nice.
That's a good collection.
That is cool.
Polar Nights, what's your prize 8-track? I'm really curious to know.
And why is it Lionel Richie?
Hello.
What do I collect? I collect. Oh man, I collect Disney pins. And I mean, as a 31-year-old man, that probably seems super weird, but I love it. I'm not mad. What about you?
Fridge magnets from everywhere we travel.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
That's it.
Yeah.
We're still trying to think about what, because there's
insulators.
Oh, the insulators.
I was gonna say you guys have insulators.
Yes, because the thing is, like, I think she was trying to mouth insulators to me, and I just like it wasn't registering. My grandfather used to be a lineman for Cook County in Illinois, so the city of Chicago, and so because of that, we got like those glass things that the power lines wrap around on top of telephone poles. Those are insulators, and so so whenever we go to like antique malls, what I'm looking for is weird shapes, weird colors, and what state is stamped in glass on the bottom of them. So you got Illinois, Pennsylvania, like California, or wherever they were made, and the different sizes depend on what the usage was for. So like, so you've got like real heavy duty power lines or ones in cities, and like depending on how like what the like population is, you get multiple like rungs on it for like multiple cables. So basically, the taller the insulator, the more urban the area that it was set in. So there was that. Wow. But the reason why I was kind of confused is because we also have a very substantial marble animal collection.
Oh, okay. I've seen those.
Was it like 200 some at this point? Like we have a zoo.
It's over 200.
It's over 200.
That's not as unusual as the insulators. I feel
No.
like they're more common.
It's more common, but I mean, like we have like marble cobras, a marble stingray, like we have tons of different animals. So it's like I was trying to figure out which one we wanted to say first.
Yeah. What about
Is
you?
that yeah?
Do you have anything?
Either the loose Star Trek action figures or my caboodles.
Oh yeah, it's the caboodles, where she can put her loose Star Trek figures
I
if she
don't
wanted to.
know.
She doesn't, so they're just all
Wait.
over the place.
What's a caboodle?
Go grab one.
Okay.
I'm so excited to see this. Is it like a holder?
It's
Yeah, I don't know.
For boxes.
okay,
Like-
Devin. I want you to take a guess at what a caboodle is. Like just guess. I think we.
Is it I mean, I think it's like I'm picturing like the phrase "the whole kit and caboodle," and like it's just like is it a box, like a chalice?
Chalice.
It's a
That's
tackle.
a caboodle.
It's a tackle box for makeup. Why'd you give me the heavy? one?
Really?
You think that's
Oh. But yeah,
I did not know that's what those were.
Oh.
you want to open
It's a
one up?
tackle box.
Or-
Come
I
on.
can.
I had
if
one
you
of
want. They're
those.
not well organized, but
Anna has 2 more over there that you didn't bring over.
I didn't think I was showing you
Yeah.
my entire collection. Nobody else had to do that, but all right.
I did.
There we go.
So, okay, follow-up question for the couples. Oh, that's nice,
I
though.
love that.
So we kind of started our collection together, like the Disney pins.
Yeah.
But, like, how long into your relationship, like, Anna, how long into your relationship did you pull out the caboodles? Like, was that, like, at date 1 at the movies? You were like, by the way, I brought 2 with me. And then, like, Ryan, were you, like, how long into it were you, like, do you like animals, but not alive? And then, like, pull out your menagerie? Like, how long until dating each other did you tell each other about the collections?
When did I? I can't say it. I can't say what I want to say. When did I pull out my marble snake? Is what you're saying?
I mean, yeah. Yeah, that one.
I'm gonna get hit later. I'm gonna get hit later.
I'm curious. I really want to
okay.
know.
Well, I guess I just started doing the pins thing about 2 years ago.
Mhm.
So that was like a thing that happened just from going to antique malls. Like it wasn't something I set out to do. It was like, oh, hey, this is cool. Oh, I like this. Oh, I guess I'm collecting these now. So, and then you've had caboodles since you were a kid.
Yeah, I desperately wanted my sister's caboodle, and I wasn't allowed it, obviously, because
And then COVID hit, and she went on eBay and bid on 2. She bid on 2 at once, thinking she'd only win 1, and then won them
that's
both.
not what happened.
Well, that's what we're saying happened.
No, well, that's basically what happened. There was more to it. First, we don't have a large bathroom area, and so all of my makeup and hair stuff would just tumble and like was taking up too much room. And I was like, well,
Sure.
when I was in high school, I kept everything in my caboodle because that way I could just take it like and get ready, and it was convenient. I was like, I want a caboodle, but not the one that I had in high school because in the 2000s they went to crap as far as their the way they were manufactured.
The quality and sure.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm gonna buy a vintage one, and I like found one on Poshmark, and I was like, I'm gonna make an offer, like, and I really lowballed them, not thinking that in COVID people are just gonna accept it, because usually you do a lowball, and they either ignore you or they're like, I'm gonna counter offer like just $5 off, not 50% off, and then I didn't hear from them, and then I heard from somebody else, like I found one on eBay, and like. Yeah, I bought one, then the Poshmark one came through, I was like, I guess I'll have 2. And then the third one that I actually bid on, after a week, nobody else bid on it, so I got that one, and they threw something in, and then we found the big one at the antiques mall.
Yeah.
So it's gone insane, where they're just breeding.
She
But
get-
2020 was rough on all of us, guys.
She got all of these caboodles. Then we go to the antique mall near us, and there's just like a whole display of caboodles. I'm like, good God.
Oh no.
Meanwhile, I picked up like 5 pins that day, so it was all good.
It all worked out.
Okay.
So Ryan, how long?
So actually, Kristen's the one with the marble animals.
Okay.
Your grandfather got you your first one, right?
No, I got it at an antique mall.
Oh, that's right.
Aw.
Right, you did. So, and that was the first like collection that
It
we
was
started
probably
doing.
8 years old
Yeah,
when I first got it.
yeah.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah. And so it was, you know, like that happened. It became a thing, right? Like they would get you more as you got older. Or...
Yeah, as soon as eBay started, my parents would look for them on eBay for me.
Oh,
And they
that's
would buy them
cool.
for me for Christmas.
Yeah.
And I showed them to you the first time you came to my
Yeah.
house.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And I mean, I thought they were cool because I mean, like they're not just like when people think marble animals, the first thing most people think of is like the marble elephants because those things are everywhere and that's like the most, you know, recognizable ones. But
Paperweights.
yeah, for
Yeah.
paperweights. But like the ones she had are actual art. Like the person who made them like chiseled into it. So like let's say you have a swan. Well, the back part of the swan is a bunch of like holes, and there's a little tinier swan carved through those holes inside of it. So these are more like ornate. And so we'd go out to we'd go to antique malls, and that's kind of like our treasure hunt. For me, like my grandfather had a ton of them, and they were in our basement. And you thought they were really cool the first time you saw them.
The insulators.
Yeah, the insulators. And then
Yeah.
I didn't really start looking for them until we started doing our treasure hunts for marble animals. And it was like, oh, so you know, she has something that she can look for, and I have something that I can look for. And then before we know it, I have more insulators probably in my apartment than most of the telephone poles in like a mile radius from the house. And same thing with we have more animals in our apartment as marble figurines than I think some small city zoos have animals, actually.
That is pretty cool.
We have more exotic animals too than what they have. So
Take that, Zoo America. So I have a question about this movie for you guys. And it has to do with Patrick Wilson, who plays the sperm donor. Can you think of anything that he's in any movie that he's in where he's not just a complete dick?
Good job.
Go ahead, Ryan.
The Conjuring movies,
Yeah.
Conjuring universe.
Okay. I haven't seen those. So the only exception I could think of was he was on a season of Fargo.
Oh, yeah.
And I really liked him in that, but that's about the only thing I like him in. Everything else, he's just kind of always plays the douche.
Well, he's just like very like toxically positive in this, to the point where like, dude, you gotta stop this.
Yeah.
But was he toxic? was he? I feel like that is a reaction to him getting divorced.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because,
Like, yeah.
because at the party he was normal. I think like he was kind of shy. He was like, I didn't think it was going to be a party to do this. He seemed normal. And then afterwards, he was like, the only thing that's going to get you through life is a smile.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like he turned into that guy. But I mean, I really like the whole Viking analogy that was done in this, because I mean, holy cow, he is.
So, do we want to get into the ethics of what Jason Bateman does?
I was gonna ask if anyone here saw or listened to Donor 9623.
What is that?
Oh goodness, it is a podcast.
Ooh.
It is it's phenomenal. I think it's only like 4 episodes, and it's about this movie. It's about a donor from New Jersey who, on the donor list, he likens himself to Tom Cruise. He has a high IQ. He has a Harvard degree. He's athletic. He's funny. He's smart. He is the perfect donor. And he's so popular and so well requested that the donor agency actually calls him up and is like, "Hey, can you provide more? We have a lot of demand for you." Turns out he was a man with mental issues, and there was no screening process.
Oh, wow.
So all of these women who had selected him as his donor ended up with children with his inherited issues that he didn't disclose. And it's horrifying, and I couldn't stop thinking about that during this thing.
Wow, that's...
Yeah.
I feel like that
It's a great podcast.
What was that?
I feel
What'd you
that
say?
was in the news. Wasn't that in the news?
It was in the news.
I was gonna say, because
Yeah.
I definitely heard about that, but I don't listen to podcasts. Sorry.
Ironic.
Oh, I know you don't. She watches though. She watches
I do
this
watch.
on YouTube, which you can. If you miss our live streams, you can always follow us on YouTube and check us out there.
Well, you were saying something about it too, right? When we watched it, about what Jason Bateman doing, like whether it was ethical or not.
Wait, what?
When Jason Bateman switched,
Mm-hmm.
you said like you had a couple of comments about that too, right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you could have just have said, "Whoops, I spilled your thing." Can you give some more?
Ingredients.
Yeah.
Ingredients.
Who hasn't asked that question before?
Yeah.
What?
Can I have some
to a
more?
Viking.
To a Viking.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to me, like that's a major part of the humor of this movie for me. Is like how ridiculous of a situation he gets himself in, and of course he's messed up. He's drunk. He's on that pill that her friend has given her.
Yeah.
I mean, has given him, and it's just the ridiculousness of the situation of how it happens. It's like he's playing with it because he's drunk and he's high and he's upset about the whole situation. So he's like, like trying to make himself feel better by like, oh, I'm going to drown them. I'm going to drown them, and like in the sink, and then he actually does it. And then it's just what he thinks about doing. And then you've got the whole Martha Stewart like joke thing thrown in there. Diane Sawyer. Sorry, they're interchangeable.
Interchangeable.
One went to jail. The other one's Diane Sawyer.
Okay. So you've got that happening, and of course he forgets, because he just represses everything, and then you have the whole thing with his best friend telling him like, "Ooh, you were scaring me, man. Like you barfed in the hallway. You scared me last night. Going on about a Viking and a trade." And then you've got the reaction of like the kid, because it's like as the viewer, what happened. What he did, just by everything that was going on. And then it's like, to me, the humor is him finding out that it's his kid and seeing all of the little things. Like, it's like when she points him out for the first time and he sees the kid smiling at the tank and he's like, oh, okay, he's fine. And then he moves away and there's a little Jason Bateman frowning at the tank. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be great.
So I feel like the conceit for this movie was, so you have rom-coms where the mother knows who the father is, but the father doesn't know. So I think they want it, like, I think the conceit of this was, let's have the guy know that he's the father, but the mother has no clue. And what's the best way to do that? Oh, you switch sperm samples before artificial insemination.
Yeah.
By the way, do you guys know what the original title for this movie was before the switch?
Oh
no.
Imposter.
The Baster.
The Baster. Oh, that's great. That's why.
No, it was.
Yeah, it was.
That's an amazing joke too. That's an amazing joke in that movie.
I have a confession to make. We were watching the movie, and he goes, well, how does that even happen? She's like, well, she takes a turkey baster, and I literally turned to Romana and went, really, the turkey baster? Like, it didn't hit me as a joke until the character said it was a joke, which shows how incredibly ignorant I am.
Okay, so Devin, I really.
We keep losing Ryan.
Oh, I lost it. Oh, yeah, there we go.
I'm here. I'm still here.
Okay.
Yep, you're back. Okay. Yeah.
So I have a confession to make. I was hoping that you were going to say something like that, because to be honest, tiny bit honest,
yeah.
I see some of you in Jason Bateman in this movie.
Tell me more. I want to know.
It has to do with, like, we'll watch a movie and then you'll bring up this irritation you had, and then like Alan has to talk you down. It's our segment. It's like, that's how Devin, like, I feel like Jason Bateman's character in this would do that. Like, I could see him sitting at the office overhearing a conversation in the hallway, somebody talking about, let's say, The Matrix. And then somebody says, oh yeah, no, Keanu Reeves is in it and this person's is in it. And I can see him at his desk looking at stock reports, tapping his pen, going, yeah, it's going to be a surfer movie. I'm not interested.
What do you think? Do you see that for me? Do you see a little bit of Jason Bateman in me?
Especially the kid part. Especially the kid, because I swear that was you as a child.
Yeah, probably. I don't know why I turned to Romana. She didn't know me as a kid.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, that probably was. Yeah.
Obviously, not as like concentrated, but I mean, I could definitely see you asking the same questions that kid did. And to be honest, if you were, let's say, 7 years old in 2010, I could definitely see you as somebody that would be surfing WebMD, and your mom would have to tell you, stay off WebMD.
Or they'd find what your search results in your diary, and then they have to have a meeting with you.
And then they have to have it sit down. Exactly.
All right. I mean, do we have anything else we want to talk about with the Switch?
No, I don't think so.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, it was a fun movie. I liked it.
Okay. Now, I'm happy.
Yeah. Now, we just talked about 3 movies that our wives made us watch, that most of them were movies that we just haven't gotten around to watching with them yet, even though they wanted us to. Mm-hmm. What is the movie that you guys want to watch that your wives have refused to watch with you?
Oh, boy.
Wait, I don't even know which one you're going to say.
Can I pick a TV series?
Go for it.
No?
Yeah. You said go for it.
Because for the most part, Romana will watch, we would just watch the same stuff. But I really, really, really want her to watch Breaking Bad.
Okay.
No, she won't do it.
Have you watched Better Call Saul?
I saw bits and pieces of it.
Okay. Why won't you watch Breaking Bad?
Oh, no particular reason. I just have a hard time getting into it, I guess. Okay. Just like, maybe it's just a drag of like, oh, so many seasons again, or something like that. And like, I don't know, just never really gave it a fully chance or something. There's no hate or anything for it.
Kristen had to like badger me over the head to finally watch that, and I will admit the first season was really tough for me, and it wasn't until the second season started that I was like, oh my god, I was wrong, I should have watched this when he told me. But the first season, I was like, oh my god, when's this gonna get better? Like the next episode would start, and I'm like, oh, they're dragging this on again. And then the second season started, and I'm like, oh, I'm so happy I watched the first season.
See, that show was on when I was in film school, and everyone loved it. So I was the film student who was like, I'm not watching that until it's done. So a friend of the show, Chad, and I were working on a feature film the weekend that the show ended, and we were staying at somebody's house in the woods somewhere. Like he had an inn, so we were just crashing at somebody's house who wasn't home. We watched the pilot on Netflix the night before the finale, just to be those dicks.
Good.
Ryan, how about you?
I think Kristen's better at answering this one because there's a lot of stuff that I kind of wanted her to watch with me. But to actually get to like the pinnacle of what she'll never watch with me, I'll just refer to her.
Star Trek.
Really?
Anything Star.
Okay.
Even the movies?
No, I'll watch the movies.
Okay.
The old TV show. You won't like.
Okay, so when you say the old TV show, like you're talking about like the 90s ones?
On Netflix all the time.
Okay, yeah, she's talking about the 90s Trek. She's talking about the 90s Trek.
Why?
I can't get into it. I don't know.
Look, this is from a fellow person who will not watch the old Star Trek either. I'm just curious what your reasons are.
I think
it's
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
The makeup,
You know what? Her biggest complaint whenever I'm trying to get her to watch a scene for something is the makeup for the aliens. Like whenever they show a Klingon or whenever they show one of the other aliens, it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, like at this point I watch it and it's like, whatever, it's a TV show. It's from the 90s. It's whatever, it's set design. But I could definitely understand where, like, if somebody's not, like if you're not interested in it to begin with, and then you have Worf comes walking out on scene, and you can clearly see where the glue line is for the headpiece.
It's distracting.
It can be distracting. I will fully admit that. The reason why I let her answer that question is because I have a lot of stuff. Like Dragon Ball Z and a lot of other movies that it's just, the whole different taste thing.
And I think that part of the thing I can understand with Star Trek is there's so many seasons and it's not like the storyline goes through for everything. It's a lot more episodic than it is serialized. So I can see why why people want to get into that. Ryan, chat is calling out Deep Space Nine as being horrible. Do you have a short statement in response to that?
You cut out there.
Chat is saying Deep Space Nine is horrible. Do you have a short response to that?
They don't like it when the show actually deep dives into other alien cultures except for Earthlings. So, I mean, if they don't care about other races and figuring out what their cultures are, then by all means you can watch Next Gen. But to me, Deep Space Nine, when you watch Next Gen and you watch the earlier Star Trek stuff, really shines a mirror to the Federation and shows its flaws. And it's the only Star Trek series, like I said before, like in other shows, like you get a little bit of like what the Klingon culture is in Next Gen. You get a little bit of what other cultures are, but you deep dive into the Cardassians, you deep dive into the Bajorans, you deep dive into the Klingons and the Romulans, and they go through their cultures. There are whole episodes where they just deal with those characters and what's going on their planets and what's going on in their political spectrum. And to me, it's a lot more interesting.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry.
It's a great short response.
There was no real.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I did not get into Cisco and how great of a father he is and all of that stuff.
Okay.
And I could.
So I guess for us it's The Simpsons, right?
Except I watched The Simpsons with you.
Not always.
I'm not going to watch the entire show with you. It's been like on 30 years.
Yeah.
But it's also good.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Funnily enough, I was watching it last night and they did a joke about Star Trek from the 90s. They had to go through and recreate all of the photos from their memory book, and they had to recreate their viewing party for the Voyager finale. So it's like Dr. Hibbert's dressed as a Vulcan, and then Lenny is just 7 of 9. But what else is there any movies? Most of the stuff for the podcast I'm on my own.
TV shows, like movies, I can handle. It's a TV show.
Yeah. And the only TV show I really watch is like The Simpsons.
And Smallville, but you get mad at me when I watch Smallville.
Yeah.
Wait, why? Hold on.
No.
Well, that does it for this week. No. I'll tell you that story off camera. Off the live.
So hold on. Why won't you watch Simpsons, all of the Simpsons, Anna? Is it just like too much, or?
It's just
So
too
many
much, I think.
seasons.
Like there's too many.
Yeah.
I have too much other stuff going on in my life and other shows that I want to watch. I don't have it in me to watch 30 years worth of a show. Like I'll watch the Treehouse of Terrors. I'll watch the episodes that are his favorite, but I'm not going to sit down from season 1 and watch all of it. Like
It's like what, 31 seasons now?
That's too much. I don't I don't have the attention span for that. Like I can handle Futurama. Futurama's contained, and I started that at the beginning. Like I can't start a show that started when I was born. Like no, I haven't even seen all of Sesame Street. Like I'm not gonna sit and watch all of The Simpsons. It's.
I like the Sesame Street's like on your watch list first.
That's a good reference. I just like that comparison. I really do like that comparison.
All right. I think that does it for this week. Thank you for tuning in. Anyone who's watching us live on Twitch, you can please make sure that you follow us on Twitch to make sure that you catch our next live stream, which will be this Tuesday, where it'll be just the 3 of us guys talking about whatever. We don't know. It's going to be like a AMA type thing. We're just going to talk with the chat and answer movie questions, have some questions ready for each other. We're still figuring out all the details, but it's going to be a good time. So check back here Tuesday at 8 o'clock Eastern. You can find older episodes of our podcast on YouTube at You Have to Watch This Podcast. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and listen to our podcast wherever you find your podcast. And I want to thank our wives for joining us tonight. Hope you guys had fun. You guys want to come back and do this sometime again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always up for it.
All right.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, for You Have to Watch This podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And how you go?
And I'm Anna.
And I'm Kristen.
And I'm Romana.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.